we get going, Binjo?
Uh, do we have everyone?
I think he said to go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, hi everyone. Can you guys hear us?
There's a hi.
Oh, someone said yeah. Okay.
I think that's a good thing.
Yep. Hello. So thank you for joining us via Zoom today. I hope you guys are doing all right. Staying safe. But before we get, yeah, I was gonna tell you guys to mute yourself, but you guys got it. So, this session is being recorded as well, and we're trying to like keep the noise down. So if you guys could keep it on mute, that'd be awesome. If you have any question, just post your question through the chat through the chat session, and we're gonna have to answer that after the session. My name is Binjo Emmanuel, and I'm a senior here at Hobart William Smith Colleges. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm a media and society major and Africana study minor. On campus, I'm a member of the soccer team and a two-time captain of the varsity team. And being a captain on the team, actually, I learned a lot of stuff, a lot of valuable skills, and I get to deal with a lot of like strict schedules, and I got to learn how to communicate with my teammates, communicate with my coaches, communicate with recruits, communicate with a lot of people, which is a valuable skill on my path in college. And I also work on campus. I work 3 jobs on campus. I work at the fitness center where I serve as the greeter. And when people come in, I greet them and I show them where to work out, what to do. And if they have any questions, they come to me and I kind of explain everything and clear everything up for them. And so that's my job there at the fitness center. And I also work as an intramural referee. I ref soccer and volleyball, which is a ton of fun, But yeah, it's a great thing. But this past summer, I was fortunate actually to, I had an opportunity to intern at the Centennial Center, where I served as the social media coordinator under the supervision of Amy Forbes. I'm here today with Amy Forbes. Amy, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Amy and I am the director of the Centennial Center, and we're happy to talk with you a little bit about what we do. And we honestly jumped at the chance to have an intern like Binjo work for us last summer. He's one of the many student leaders on campus that comes with all kinds of skills and experiences. And so he primarily did our social media, but he also added a great deal to the office environment, generally speaking, just because he's such a good communicator and great team player, obviously. So I'm delighted that they would pair us together to share what we do with all of you.
So can you please tell us a little bit more about your work on campus, why students will want to contact you or connect with you once you're on campus?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we have a great center. We're one of many centers and offices on campus that are primarily doing work outside of the classroom. You'll see all kinds of different experiences for students the minute you step on campus, but our primary areas are leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. So it's up to me and our staff to develop experiences that allow students to get hands-on, real-world work in around these 3 core areas. Our center was dedicated in 2008, so we've been running for almost 11 years now, and we originated in leadership education, and we've got a long history of doing programs that help you develop as a leader, quite frankly, and it's wonderful to build your resume in that regard. And then we expanded a couple years back into entrepreneurship as well as innovation. And so if you were to visit our website under the Centennial Center, at the HWS page, you would see a whole menu of different programs, some of which are long and you would spend several years doing. Others are shorter, just a taste of what you can do with us in and around some of these areas. Just as a couple of examples, we have a fantastic certificate program, which is primarily a leadership experience, where you would take 2 half-credit classes, one on core leadership topics, like ethics, like group dynamic, like emotional intelligence, like authentic leadership. The other half-credit class is public speaking, which is a great area to train yourself in for any college student, I think, quite frankly, but this primarily is for leaders that want to get better at public speaking. Then you would complete 2 other requirements. One is a point sort of system that would allow you to participate in programs that we offer for 15 points. And the last requirement is a fieldwork experience. So you would choose one leadership role on campus or in the community. And that's the totality of a great certificate program. And most students spend either 2 years, some stretch it all the way out across all 4 years completing those requirements. But that's a huge experience in leadership training that we offer through our center. The other really big program that a lot of students know us for, and perhaps some of you tuned into, is our pitch contest, which is a big experience around entrepreneurship. This is the $10,000 contest where we have young student entrepreneurs competing regarding products or services that they've developed on their own. So that's a 6-month experience. We collect those proposals from students starting in the fall. We send those proposals to a selection committee and they narrow down the field to semifinalists. And then over winter break, those semifinalists are matched with an alum mentor and they help them strengthen and revise their product or service. They resubmit their proposal to a selection committee and then we pick 4 finalists. And then those finalists train with us for about a month. And they get 8 minutes to pitch their idea in front of a group of alumni judges and a standing room only crowd in our big auditorium on campus in our final pitch event. And that's our pitch contest. We just completed that event on March 5th this past year. And all of those pitch contests are available on our YouTube channel. If you search HWS, The Pitch, you could see what those contests look like, but that is an extraordinary hands-on experience on what it's like to develop a product or service. And those are just a handful of some of the programs that we do, but what we're really about is trying to give students experience as undergrads that they can put on their resume and talk about with potential employers.
And being around the Centennial Center for quite some time, I could tell you it's fun, it's great, it's just beautiful experience, but at the same time, you're just having fun doing what you love.
Yeah.
So throughout my work with Amy at the Centennial Center, actually, every morning I come in, I'm just surprised and amazed by like the work she do. Just surprised by like the way she teaches leadership, right? And could you please explain to us the approach your office like takes in cultivating like leaders and leadership?
Sure, yeah. So there's lots of different ways to do this, but we really like this particular model because it's very flexible and really relevant. I think it applies to a lot of different situations. And so, you know, we see students who come from lots of different leadership experiences, especially in high school. So they, you might say, are pretty advanced, but we also see students that have never participated in anything where they've had a leadership role and they want to get involved. And so it's really important that we be able to meet students where they are. And so our model is called Leading Self, Leading Others, and Leadership in Action. The leading self is just like it sounds. It's an exploration of yourself, what you believe and what your values are. So we help students sort of reflect and cultivate who it is that they think they are in the world, what direction they want to follow. A lot of this has to do with their families and friends, things that they've been working on for years, but how do you cultivate that? Because it's super important as a leader that you understand who you are. That generally leads to some sort of ethical framework that we help the students construct. So we feel really solid with regards to helping students find themselves in this particular way. So it's the professor that I worked with in grad school used to call it me search when it comes to leading self. At that point, we shift into leading others, which is really an exploration of what it's like to lead groups. And so what are the important things to remember when you're working with others, especially when it comes to difference, whether that includes race or gender or sexual orientation, socioeconomic class, like all the various identities that we all carry with us, what it means to actually come towards some sort of common goal and push a group towards these kind of experiences. It's super important that we focus on that when it comes to leading others. And then last, we want to help students find what they're passionate about. So to take some of those foundational principles with regards to the self and others, and then shift into something that you're passionate about. Can we help you find some sort of purpose that you can work towards even as an undergrad? That's what a lot of our leaders are doing when it comes to that field work experience in our certificate program. We're helping them really explore what it's like to get really excited about something and want to do some good work, whether you're in the nonprofit sector or the for-profit sector, but we want to see students passionate about what it is that they're getting up to do every day.
So speaking about leading self, I think this is the best time to introduce the Centennial Center's slogan, which is leadership, entrepreneurship, innovation. Could you talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and innovation and how your office supports students in these areas?
Sure. So I touched on a little bit of the leadership, but the other two areas that we work on, entrepreneurship and innovation, are rapidly growing on campus. If you're a student and you're at all interested in entrepreneurship, HWF is a fantastic place to be. There are 3 partners on campus currently working to help students develop their own products and services. So one of those partners is we have an academic minor called Entrepreneurial Studies. So you can actually study entrepreneurship right now. This is our largest, most popular minor on campus currently. It's only about 2.5 years old, but it's rapidly growing. And it's meant to develop change makers in the for-profit and nonprofit areas. We believe in training students together regardless of where you might be going. But if you want to study entrepreneurship, we have a very successful minor. A lot of people ask why we haven't made it a major, but the truth is we want students to specialize in a discipline and then come to these classes and work on these interdisciplinary teams in and around entrepreneurship. So that's the minor. Then you have all the programs at the Centennial Center, which work outside of the classroom. I shared with you a little bit about our contest, which is a huge program that we do. The other one that is coming up is called Summer Sandbox. So we have students that have applied, and Binjo knows because as an intern, he helped us with this program, but we have 16 students that are essentially getting paid as an internship to work on their own startup for 9 weeks this summer. It's going to be virtual, but it's still going to be a big experience on how to bring a product or a service to life. So that's the co-curricular partner, if you will, that's working towards entrepreneurship in the Centennial Center. And then the last one is called the Bizzuto Center for Entrepreneurship, which is our downtown incubator right in Geneva that houses 3 floors of space all dedicated to student entrepreneurship. So this is a major hub. Students are taking classes that meet in the Bizzuto Center. They're also doing Centennial Center programs. It's a vibrant space, all meant towards helping students develop their own ideas and then actualize them. So if you need quiet workspace, a conference room to meet with a group, our eventual plans for the 3rd floor is to help tenants who have their own businesses set up on the third floor and be actually able to work out of the Bizzuto Center. So it's a very exciting time, I would say, for students that are interested in entrepreneurship or innovation at HWS. There's a lot of people working towards, I just think about myself, and I didn't have these opportunities when I was an undergrad to get going on an idea. If I have some sort of product or service, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, we have all the resources now working for students.
Thank you, Amy. And one last question. So given the fact that our audience today are soon to be first-year students, could you give them a little bit of advice on how to get involved with the Centennial Center on campus? Are they able to participate in all programming that takes place through the office, or just?
Yep, sure. First, I'll definitely be sure to include my email in the chat feature here, just so you can contact me directly. I'm always happy to meet incoming students as they want to get involved. But what I say to first years generally is we have on campus the first week of classes, what's called the Expo, which is a great event where all clubs, organizations, offices, and centers have tables, and it's out on the quad. It's typically a nice day in the fall. And myself and my staff and students like Binjo, who've been involved with us, meet with students that are interested. So as a first year, I would say there's lots to do, and it can be a little overwhelming, but attend events like that where you can get information. A lot of people have flyers, business cards, brochures, and things that you can take to get a lay of the land, is to start thinking about what it is that you might want to get involved in. Whether it's a student-run club, we have lots of opportunities in that, or it's an office or a center like myself that have professional staff that are helping students. That's a great event to start in the fall right away. And I always say that you can get involved. We take a cohort for that certificate program that I mentioned every semester. So you can get involved as early as the spring semester into the certificate program. We have had first years enter our contest. We did have a winner a couple years back who was a first year, which was fantastic. They do it all the time. We have had first years involved in that summer sandbox. They've decided they wanted to say, for the summer in Geneva. So it's up to you at what point. I can imagine as a first year, you want to first get familiar with your classes before you dive in deeply into any one thing outside of the classroom. But we have lots of first years, and we're constantly looking around to see how we can get them involved.
Thank you, Amy.
I see a question on the chat board.
Yeah, which is perfect, because this is the last of our questions, so we can start answering the questions, which is awesome.
The first question is, how many alum do we have? So at this point, we're upwards of a couple hundred alums. Like I said, our center is only 11 years old, so we're relatively young compared to some of the centers on campus. Like if you were to look at our civic engagement center, there would be thousands of alums that have participated in that center because it's over 20 years old. But we're still relatively young. We're doing a really big study on both of our biggest programs this summer regarding our certificate program as well as our contest. And we have several hundreds of alums who have participated in those big experiences. So I just keep going. So there's another question. If an incoming student is interested in business, is there a major for that? I know we get that question quite a bit. There is no major for business at HWS. So we usually ask students a little bit more about what they're most interested when we come across this section, because we do have a fantastic econ major, which covers some aspects of business that the student might be interested in. I see a lot of students that major in econ, but minor in entrepreneurial studies. And for that student, that often covers a lot of the general business concepts that they might come across. So that might be a really great option. But other students want to major, like Binjo here is in media and society, and then they might minor in entrepreneurial studies because they're much more interested in the marketing aspects or the advertising, or what it means to be a social media digital marketing expert for these smaller startups. If, for an example, I have a lot of students that are going in that particular direction right now. We do have an advisor on campus. He's housed right next to our econ department, and he covers accounting, finance, classes of that type. So you can make sure that you cover those aspects if that's something that you're after as a student. I don't know if Max has anything more to add to that. I want to make sure I cover the business question. No.
And also, just to piggyback off of that, I think the econ and the entrepreneurial study part of it makes it better than just a business class or business course or business major. Because when you have the econ part and the entrepreneurial part of it, like you have two different majors that explore things differently and you have them in one. And I think that would be beneficial to your learning in HWS here. So
yeah. I see a couple more questions. One was, do students go on to real life entrepreneurs and their own businesses? Like, that's what's really interesting about, again, HWS is just now operationalizing several of these areas in the minor and then in the programs that the Centennial Center is doing. We, for example, have two awesome alums that have really made their mark, and they both were participants in the contest that I mentioned. One was the very first winner. She's a nonprofit director of her own organization in Boston, and they just recently surpassed $1 million in donations. That's Sarah Robleski, who's a fantastic alum that participated in several of our programs as a student. The other alum that I'll mention that's still out there doing the idea that he proposed here at HWS is Matty Mead, graduate of 2013. His company's called Hempitexture, and he's in the sustainable building sector, building his own buildings out of hemp material. He was a participant of our contest, and he was in Forbes magazine's 30 under 30 list this past year. So those are two great alums that are really doing it, and they both proposed their ideas while they were students at HWS. So we're starting to really see some alums make good of these opportunities they've been given as students.
yeah, and to talk a little bit about that too, not just the business part of it, opportunity for business and entrepreneurial part of it. As a media and society major, there were a lot of alums that like went through here and end up being big time producers, big time directors in the movie industry down in LA. So it's just a great thing, you know, to have programs like this here at HWS that doesn't really focus on one thing, you know, like it exposes you to a lot of stuff, and like you could go on and become whatever it is you want to become, you know. So yeah.
I see a question about internships, and I know I can touch on that, and then perhaps Max can follow up. But I know our career services does a great job of getting business-oriented internships. We have a for-profit individual, a special counselor in career services whose just job is to cultivate internship opportunities to place students into various businesses. So if you're looking for a large experience in a big corporation, we've done that. If you're looking for something smaller in a startup, we're also starting to see those opportunities. We, no question, dip heavily into our alum network who often give back by providing opportunities. That's one of the major advantages of a small private institution like HWS. It's our alums. I know Tom Bizzuto, who's the director, who is chair of our board, recruits many HWS students each year to internships in his company alone. So we have lots of different experiences like that. Just seeing if there's other questions.
No.
Whoops. I told you I have a ferocious guard dog here. You must see somebody walking by the house. Let me make sure I put in my my email address.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to, oops, let me make sure it goes to everybody. I'm happy to answer any additional questions you have about leadership, entrepreneurship, or innovation with regards to the minor or the co-curricular experiences. I think it's a fantastic time. Like I said, if you're interested in any of these areas to be an incoming student, there's loads of things to do. I, for example, tell everybody, all the students in the entrepreneurial studies minor, that they should at some point participate in our contest, because it's just a fantastic, can't tell you enough about the real world experience you get while you're competing against your peers, and then having to publicly pitch your idea in front of a big audience like that. We just are hearing from students in volume when they graduate what a great experience that has been. Several have gone on to already established organizations and talk about the poise they have when they're speaking in front of others, the ability to create financial statements, write a business plan, all those things that they gained as a student right here in some of those programs. Let's see,
yeah.
Hang on, I need to get that. There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna put down my email address too, in case any of you have questions. So just wanna reach out to me to say hello, and yeah. So if there's no any further questions right now, does anyone have any last questions they wanna ask? Anything you're not clear about? Guys, if there's no any other question, this is all the time we have for you guys today, and thank you for joining us once again. We look forward to talking to you guys or answering any questions you guys have.
Stay safe, stay well.